space, which no one in the state has besides the universities, runs right by this building, 50 feet from the front door, 100 gig. Technology more than you could ever possibly use, and is not available in any other public school in the state of Ohio. Nowhere do they have access to that much computing power. The city schools would lease the building and the space for $1 a year for this project. No lease, no mortgage. Remember what our initial concepts were. And the community is willing to make a large financial commitment to the project. That's the facility requirements. South High School obviously meets all that. Do we have other buildings in the community that can do that? Not that I can think of. Not that I can think of. Maybe someone else in the room could think of something. I can't think of anything that's more better suited to those particular requirements than the folks from Dayton said that we ought to have. As I've showed you here, primarily the faculty and staff of Dayton was interested in the South Educational Wing, the cafeteria, the auditorium, the library, all of which they do not have in their space. They'd love to have cafeteria, auditorium, I see Dave shaking his head, and outdoor rec space we have in this site. I think partners like OSU and others from Food Ag Environmental Science College, when they've seen it, like the space, the outdoor space, about 9 acres of uninhabited space, greenhouses. One of the professors from OSU said, we could grow corn there. I said, you could grow whatever you want there. That's, there it is. We took their budget from the Dayton Regional Building, which they budgeted, I know it's hard to see, about $7.5 to $10 million. They've spent 4.4 over there thus far. I think they're in the final phases of a project to finish out the rest to get to 600 students. But I think they're going to be well under that $7.5 to $10 million estimate. Their estimate for our building, again, Synergy out of Beaver Creek did this. They were the builder of the project in Dayton. $6.5 to $9 million is their estimate. They give a range. I've had a lot of people in the community say, what on earth would you spend $9 million on? The building's in pretty good shape, just turn on the lights and open it up. Well, there's a few things to do. If we want world-class technology in each and every classroom, the 100 gig lines in limestone, but we got to get it into the building and around the building. That costs a little bit, so on and so forth. So we've been using the $9 million number. Let's just use that number. Here's where we are thus far in the finances of our project in Springfield. It's a $10.5 million project. We have $7 million committed thus far. And we're just getting started. We thought that was a pretty good start. I don't see anybody's surprised look on their face, so maybe I'm not doing very well in explaining that. As you saw from the budget, you need about $1.6 million to get the first two of operations up and running. $350,000 the first year, which is to hire the first principal, to get your work plan in order as to how you're going to open and operate in the fall of 13. You've got some things to do, you've got some expenses. Right, Ohio State University and Battelle have committed to that. They are paying the $350,000. The Department of Education, the state superintendent, Stan Hefner, the governor's office, Dick Ross, believe so much in this project. In this most recent state budgeting process, they put $600,000 into this project. Back when I said in 08, where the state started 9 STEM schools, the state put in $600,000 apiece. Unfortunately for us, it was matched by the Gates Foundation with another $600,000, and the Gates Foundation aren't going to STEM schools anymore. They're on to something else. So, fine, our community's done this before, we'll do it again. For the building, if you use the $9 million number, the OSFC in current state law pays 50% of the renovation and building of STEM schools. They have no property valuation, so there is no equity list like other OSFC projects that you might be familiar with around the state. So the state law just says OSFC pays 50%. And don't have to follow their manual, which that really burns our local school districts, I can tell you, because the manual is what's expensive when it comes to renovating buildings according to the OSFC standards. Thank you, Mary.
No, I want to thank you for everything you've done on this. I have to go teach a class.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mary. So OSFC pays 50%. We don't follow the manual. We can use design build. We can use whatever project delivery method we want. We decide what the renovation and the scope of the project is going to be. They're just there to help us. That's how this works. So we've got $4.5 million that we have to raise. The local community, through Mike McDormand and other foundations that are in the room and have been around this project, have committed $1.5 million. You begin to see some of the articles about people that are at their boards making those commitments. Dayton Development Coalition was the first third into this. They put in $500,000 day one of the $1.5 million. So we're about raising the rest. That certainly is going to be a part of the statewide conversation that our founding partners are going to be helping us with as they go to the major industries around the state to get the first site up and running. Our timeline, we want to be open in fall 13 for grades 9 and 11. The following year, we want to bring in grades 10 to 12. Ultimately, we want to get to 600 students. We've consulted a lot of resources. In your packet, there's a list of people that we've talked to personally. We've highlighted in yellow if they've said they're endorsing the project or supportive of the project. And it's a pretty massive and extensive list. What's next? What's left to do? What do we need your help on? That's some of the questions we want to answer right now. As I said, OSU, the Provost Office, is working on curriculum development as we speak throughout the summer. They're already on the project, they're working on the project. We need to identify we're at the point where we need to identify the local industry partners that want to help and participate. And what does that mean? Well, we need internships, we need help in designing and developing the curriculum, we need them to help provide the leadership that's going to run the school. That's a need. We are developing a roadmap. What's Ohio State and Battelle doing with that $350,000? They've actually hired a private consultant to develop the roadmap for what it takes to open in the fall of 13 on this project. They're paying for that. That's their part of the project. We need to describe, as Mike said earlier on, how this project fits into Greater Springfield and the committee work that's already been in place. Jobs, education, gateways, in particular, of the 3 committees of the 5 that I can think of. We need your help in describing how this project fits and what we as a community already want to and are going to do. That's going to be helpful for that private consultant that's developing the roadmap, because they can take and say, well, here's how this fits into the community and what their long-range plans already are. We need to finalize those Site 1 operating partnerships that I mentioned between Clark State and the city schools. And we need to, I think, establish the same working committees that Ohio State and Battelle have on this project. Operations, development, marketing, curriculum. Ad hoc committees, going to take a little bit of time and effort, but we'd like to have your all's input as a community as to how we're going to help the next A.B. Graham concept move forward. But certainly he had help. I don't know who they were. I don't read that in the histories when I read the histories about what he did here in Springfield and Clark County. But we need leaders in this room to volunteer to help in those particular areas. Finally, I'm just going to read you a couple things that I found about the starting of the first 4-H club in Springfield, Ohio. The school met outside of school hours and across school district boundaries for the purpose of learning. The members were committed to undertake agriculture-related projects. They learned through specific science experiments and demonstrations. They relied on the land-grant university specialists for a source of knowledge. They kept records, worked accomplishments, and what they achieved. They organized clubs, elected youth to fulfill leadership roles. They based membership on subject matter interest, not with regard to race, sex, or economic status. They encouraged parents and other community adults to assist in teaching youth. They exhibited the results to the community with the expectation that the adults would learn from what the youth did. That's what A.B. Graham did in 1902 in Springfield, Ohio. And we're going to do the same thing, if not better, in 2013 in Springfield, Ohio. And we need your help. And we hope we've answered a lot of questions that you have today about the project. What other questions might you have? Well, we can have some folks help us answer those questions. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, David. Other questions? What things have you heard? What things can you offer? Or where do you think we're at? Where do you think we're going?
Chris,
Dave.
I'd just like to take an opportunity and ask you to join me in thanking Chris for really taking the lead on this project. Really, Chris has been the champion for this. It's been a pleasure to work with him. Ladies and gentlemen, he deserves a round of applause.
I have to say it's been kind of tough. Me and my staff in Columbus have done everything that you've seen this morning, graphics-wise. Kim and Dave have helped every chance they can. They've made copies and made the booklets for you today. We don't even have a color printer in the Ohio Senate. So some of the color copies came from our home printers. So it's now to a point in time where this project is going to happen in Springfield. We are going to be the first site. We are going to create a pipeline for the largest industry of the state here in Springfield based on the coattails that A.B. Graham led for us in 1902. We're going to do it. We could use a little bit more help because it's now time to transfer some of the leadership and some of the duties and responsibilities off to some other more capable people at Clark State, at the City of Springfield Schools, and some other folks in the community. And that's certainly something that we need to do as well. The Turner Foundation has been very helpful. The Springfield Foundation has been very helpful. The Port Authority has been very helpful. Clark State, City Schools, a lot of folks are involved. Hopefully this helps you answer some questions around the community. Tomorrow night, I'm meeting with all the school board members in Clark County, myself. I don't know, Dave, are you going to be there to help me? Chase is going to be there to help me. And we're going to answer the questions they have. And certainly they have questions and concerns, as did people when A.B. Graham started his Springfield Township Experimental Agriculture Club. But we're going to answer all those questions. And the good news that I have for them that I've already told the superintendents is we're writing this from scratch. OSU and Battelle's interest in this project is a much higher level, obviously, as I've already explained to you. The operations and the organizations and how we create a win-win for all the school kids in Springfield and Clark County, that's up to us to decide because we're writing all that part of the program. And we've asked them for their help, and many of them have come to the table and said, yeah, we want to be a part of that. Because we see that's going to be important not only to that school, but also our school. And we've got a lot of help coming in that particular area. So other questions? Other questions you have or have heard or would want to know about this project? Everybody's just speechless. Well, if you have any questions, we'll be around, be glad to answer. There's going to be several other community meetings around the summer. Farm Bureau is going to hold an event out at the fair at their booth, I believe, to get some questions answered if anyone out there at the fair has them. We're going to do that multiple times, and I'm available, Dave's available, other people are available. If you have a club or community group that you'd like to have this presentation to help explain, just give us a call. We'll be more than happy to come out and help explain it, because I've found once people know a little bit more about it, all the questions and all the ideas that they have kind of come to the forefront really quick, because it's an engaging type project. So thank you very much.
And that's a wrap.